Welcome back guys. So in this video I'll be talking about different topics. First I'll cover the performance gains in Vita 3K PS Vita Android emulator. This is the emulator's Discord server. Here developer Mac2 has uploaded different gameplay videos showcasing the performance gains. First we have the gameplay video of Persona 4. According to the developer, they got Persona 4 running from 5 to 7 FPS to 15 to 20 FPS. These new gameplay videos were uploaded by the developer yesterday. There you go. Game has started. Touch controls reminds me of the classic controller of Dolphin Android emulator. Alright, game has started. Getting around 15 to 16 FPS. Developer Mac2 has a device with Snapdragon 870 processor. Audio is rendered. So good to see emulator is making progress. You can also play the standard version of this game on EtherSS to PS2 Android emulator, but this is the golden version. Fast forward mode. So 15 to 20 FPS. Now let me just show you the next game. Next we have Trails of Cold Steel. Menu also went from 7 FPS to 22 FPS. Massive gain in performance. Yeah, you can see getting around 22 FPS. Audio is rendered. Next we have Shovel Knight running at 60 FPS. This game is also available on 3DS. You can play it on your Android device using Citra Emulator. It's always good to have more options. Minimum and maximum FPS are also shown here. There you go. Game started, getting around 60 FPS. Audio is rendered properly. Moving on to the next game. Big one. We have God of War up and running on Vita 3K Android emulator, getting 30 FPS. The game was running at a very high resolution. This is the count. 2880 pixels by 1632 pixels, almost 4K. Let me just play the video. Alright, game started. Audio is rendered. Audio is cracking a bit. PS Vita version is capped at 30 FPS.
Now there is no hope.
The cutscene quality is on the lower side.
And Kratos cast himself in all of Greece.
Okay, audio is a bit glitchy. It's cracking. Game is indeed running at 30 FPS. Hopefully the quality of audio improves with the future updates. Game is really running very nicely. We can also play the PS2 version of this game on our Android devices using EtherSS to emulator. And it can even run at 60 FPS if your phone's processor is powerful enough. Just to be clear guys, no public build of this emulator is available as of now. Beware of the fake apps. When the emulator is released, it will be available here on their Discord server. I'll give the link to this Discord server in the description of this video. Future is looking bright for this emulator. Windows version of this emulator also exists in case you want to test it. I have made a video on it. Link to that video will be given in the description of this video. Moving on to Mikage 3DS emulator. Still don't have any release date for it. Its developer uploaded the gameplay of WWW on their YouTube channel showcasing the audio emulation. Quoting the developer, audio support in Mikage is here. We've been tirelessly working on DSP emulation since August and nothing short of perfect was the goal before going public with it. 3 months and 6,000 lines of code. And here we are. This is a small preview of a lightweight game running at full speed despite the additional overhead audio emulation incurs. Further optimization work is ongoing to ensure great performance while still offering better compatibility than Citrus audio emulation. I'll give the link to this video in the description of my video. Game is running very nicely, not a very demanding game. Audio is also working nicely, no cracking of it. Mikage's developer has expressed their displeasure over the fact that every piece of information that they post gets scrutinized and is subject to massive speculation, which often ends up being wrong. Some rumors were floating around that this emulator might be paid. This triggered some members of the community and they started posting harsh comments. As of now, it has not been finalized yet whether the emulator will be free or paid. Always refer to Mikage's official social media channels if you are looking for any concrete information on the emulator. They have a YouTube and Twitter channel. They also have their own website. Don't fall for the rumors. According to the developer, this really disincentivizes them to share their plans as openly as they'd like to, especially when they are not 100% final. Moving on to Steam Deck's India release, it is still not officially available here, but according to Rishi Elwani, an industry insider, Steam Deck is reported to arrive in India via grey market. For example, Palika Bazaar in New Delhi. List of shops has not been shared. Approximate prices of different variants have been shared. 64 GB variant is said to be priced at Rs 62,500. It's overpriced. In US, this variant sells for around $399, which is roughly equivalent to Rs 33,000. Even if you add taxes to it, its price should not have been more than Rs 45,000. 256 GB variant will be selling for around Rs 77,000 and 512 GB variant will be selling for around Rs 90,000, way overpriced. Unfortunately, no one really knows whether the Steam Deck will be officially available or not in India. The other way to get it in India is by asking one of your relatives living in US, Canada or Europe to buy it for you and then ship it to India. They would have to pay the customs, or they can just hand it to you whenever they arrive in India. So if you're planning to buy a Steam Deck via the grey market, just don't pay more than these approximate prices. They are already on the higher side. Moving on to the flagship processor that will be powering most of the high-end phones in 2023, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor was unveiled last week at Qualcomm's Hawaii Summit. According to Qualcomm, it is faster, more efficient and comes with ray tracing and Wi-Fi 7 support. The processor is based on TSMC's 4nm production process. TSMC's production process is known to be more efficient than Samsung's production process. Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor was based on Samsung's 4nm node. 8 Gen 1 is notorious for its overheating. Hopefully, 8 Gen 2 won't suffer from the same fate. The composition of the cores in 8 Gen 2 has been changed as compared to the previous generation. It has a single Cryo Prime core based on Cortex X3 running at 3.2 GHz to deliver high single-threaded performance. It is backed by 4 performance cores instead of 3 in 8 Gen 1. These cores run at 2.8 GHz. Finally, there are 3 efficiency cores running at 2 GHz as opposed to 4 efficiency cores in 8 Gen 1. With this new CPU architecture and core composition, the CPU performance is said to be increased by 35% with a 40% increase in efficiency as compared to the previous generation. Gen 2 supports faster memory technologies. For RAM, it works with LPDDR5X at up to 4200 MHz. For storage, it supports UFS 4 format up from UFS 3.1. Moving on to the GPU of 8 Gen 2, it was not named specifically. Going by the trend, I'll just call it Adreno 740. It promises up to 25% higher performance with up to 45% higher power efficiency. It also comes with hardware accelerated ray tracing support. It is also the first to support Vulkan 1.3 along with OpenGL ES 3.2. Now guys, ray tracing simulates the physical behavior of light, trying to achieve realistic lighting conditions, but the thing is it is very demanding on the GPU. Expect the FPS to cut in half. For example, if a game is running at 60 FPS and if we enable ray tracing, expect the FPS to go down from 60 to 30. Yes, it's that demanding. To make the best use of it, an AI upscaler should be used along with ray tracing in order to prevent the performance from going down. On PCs, GeForce GPUs support DLSS, Radeon GPUs support FSR. Using the AI upscaler, we can basically run the game at a lower resolution and then upscale it to a higher resolution. This will help in reducing the GPU load as compared to a game natively running at the same high resolution. For example, running a game natively at 540p resolution and then upscaling it to 720p resolution. If the upscaler works properly, you should not be noticing a difference in picture quality between the upscaled and the native image. 8 Gen 2 can drive on-device displays with Quad HD Plus resolution at up to 144Hz refresh rate or 4K resolution at up to 60Hz refresh rate. It also supports external display up to 4K at 60Hz. HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision are also supported. Qualcomm also finally enabled AV1 video decoding, streams up to 8K resolution at 60 fps with HDR. Moving on to the camera section. Like its predecessor, the 8 Gen 2 brings a triple 18-bit ISP that can handle up to 336 megapixel cameras 30 fps simultaneously or go up to 200 megapixel for a single camera. 108 megapixel sensors are supported with zero shutter lag. For video, chipset can record 8K HDR footage at 30 fps and capture 64 megapixel photos simultaneously, 4K at 120 fps and do slow motion videos to 720p resolution at 960 fps. It supports several HDR formats including HDR10 Plus, HLG and Dolby Vision. Using DOL sensors, it can capture up to 4 exposures for each frame of video. Moving on to the connectivity. It comes with the new Snapdragon X70 modem. It supports both mmWave and sub-6 GHz 5G bands. It also supports dual SIM, where 2 5G SIMs are active at the same time, or 5G plus 4G SIMs. Also supports Wi-Fi 7 standard. It tops out at 5.8 Gbps, up from 3.6 Gbps on the previous chip. Supports Bluetooth 5.3 connectivity. With the latest Snapdragon sound system, it can deliver 48 kHz lossless music streaming as well as the lowest ever 48 milliseconds latency for gaming. Lastly, we have the AI performance. It promises 60% better performance per watt than previous techniques. Qualcomm claims that the AI performance has been increased by 4.35x as compared to the previous generation. Now guys, lofty claims made by Qualcomm. I'm not trying to downplay them, but modern day high-end processors are prone to throttling. The thing is, mobile phones come with passive cooling. They don't have any physical fan to dissipate the heat properly. I am from India, and during the summer season, when a phone's processor is pushed to its limits, it throttles within a few minutes. The problem is, even if the processor does not get damaged due to overheating, the other components on the motherboard can easily get damaged. For example, camera stops working, or let's say any of the sensors of the device stops working, all due to overheating. I used to own a ROG Phone 5 gaming phone that came with Snapdragon 888 processor. Its motherboard fried after 11 months of usage. Many other devices have also suffered from the same fate. For example, mass reporting of Poco X3 Pro's motherboard frying randomly. Time will tell how this processor performs when the new devices are available. Now guys, Bebom had access to a prototype device having Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. They ran some benchmark tests on it, compared its performance with Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and 8 Gen 1 processors. Here you can see the results. On the left, we have the Geekbench score for Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. Single core score was around 1490. Multi-core score was around 5131. Big lead when it comes to multi-core score as compared to the previous generation of processors. Moving on to the Antutu benchmark score. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor scored around 1.27 million. 8 Plus Gen 1 scored around 1.02 million. And the standard 8 Gen 1 processor scored around 950,000. The individual CPU score of 8 Gen 2 was around 270,000. 8 Plus Gen 1 scored around 240,000. Individual GPU score of 8 Gen 2 was around 567,000. For 8 Plus Gen 1, it was around 458,000. Again, massive gains. These are the scores for 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme Test. Again, 8 Gen 2 had the lead. It scored around 3,764. 8 Plus Gen 1 scored around 2,818. 8 Gen 1 scored around 1820. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is about 34% faster than the 8 Plus Gen 1 and 44% better than Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. This is about the GPU. GFX bench test score. Again 8 Gen 2 won comfortably. Score was around 332. On 8 Plus Gen 1 this score was around 181. 8 Gen 1 scored around 151. These are the scores for an AI benchmark test. Again 8 Gen 2 processor won comfortably, scored around 3.6 million. AI 22 benchmark test. 8 Plus Gen 1 scored around 3 million and 8 Gen 1 scored around 1.1 million. So safe to say 8 Gen 2 processor is going to offer a very big upgrade over the previous generation. I'll end the video here guys. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.